Hello, my name is Nicole Gottney, and my research paper is on overconsumption in the United States. What is overconsumption and what are the effects it has on the environment? To start off with the definition of overconsumption, it is the act of consuming products to excess. The US has had several economic booms throughout the last century. This has caused prosperous growth and development for the US that has proved to be incredibly positive. With the development of the nation, consumerism has skyrocketed for several generations now, and it has only continued to rise. Because of this, within the last 20 years, it has become much easier to acquire products that people need and want. Having this become more common throughout the years and companies introducing 2-day shipping, having this delivery service become the main source of delivery for most households, creates more availability for people to purchase things they need. This also includes unnecessary products as well. With people able to purchase anything at the touch of a button, large-scale consumerism has become a problem that is exceedingly difficult to take care of. Landfill greenhouse gas emissions. The waste that is produced from countries with developed economies ends up in landfills that are already reaching max capacity. Landfills themselves have a substantial impact on the health of groundwater and release greenhouse gases such as methane and carbon dioxide. Methane is an incredibly potent gas and can trap heat in the atmosphere 28 to 36 times more effectively than carbon dioxide. Landfills caused 15% of methane greenhouse gas emissions in the United States in 2020. 2018, the average individual in the United States generated 4.9 pounds of municipal solid waste per person every day. And the total generation of municipal solid waste was 292.4 million tons. About 69 million tons were recycled and 25 million tons were composted, leaving 146 million tons to be disposed of in landfills. The United States population represents only 5% of the world's population, but consumes 17% of the globe's energy and makes up 15% of the world's GDP. Now, there are serious pressures on planetary boundaries, and if consumption of resources at this level continues, the planetary boundaries will be exceeded, propelling the planet from the Holocene to the Anthropocene. If this does occur, humans will have to start adapting to a new way of life. This includes adapting to higher climate and ocean temperatures, sea level rise, biodiversity loss, and more. There are ways of converting methane and other greenhouse gases into renewable energy. Landfill gas capture and conversion will help with the reduction of greenhouse gases from reaching the atmosphere, allowing the ability to have renewable sources of energy that would cancel out the negative effects of non-renewable energy sources, such as fossil fuels, and combat the effects landfills have on climate change, possibly bringing some of the planetary boundaries back to normal levels. The graph on the left explains how the process would work step by step. The Landfill Methane Outreach Center has a lot of information about utilizing this energy source. This type of capture process would benefit South Florida significantly due to the number of landfills there are throughout the state. If this process could be utilized, then South Florida would not have to use as much gas and electricity from fossil fuel resources. South Florida has an influx of landfills, 57 landfill sites throughout the state, so Floridians would benefit from this type of technology greatly. Private material product consumption. Overconsumption also stems at an individual level. In developed countries, the production of goods and services are directly linked to individuals within the upper and growing middle class, who overspend on material goods to live beyond a comfortable life. This type of spending on material goods is linked to exceeding planetary boundaries. Overproduction of materials, contributing to the current waste issue, proven to not bring lasting happiness to the individual and resources throughout the globe. One option to combat overconsumption within industrialized societies is to look at a more minimalist approach to spending, focusing on spending less and finding products that are long-lasting so that they are not replaced every few years. This type of lifestyle has led to individuals being happier in their lives and improving their ecological footprint. There have been studies that observed another solution. Other than consuming less, be having policymakers focus on changing to sustainable production instead of placing all the responsibility on the individual consumers. The fact of the matter is that using both methods of consuming material products on an individual level and combining sustainable production policies would change the way overconsumption has taken over society within developed nations. Overall goals of reducing overconsumption in the United States. This research paper's overall goals is to explore how decreasing consumption will lower greenhouse gas emissions, increase individual peaceful happiness, and reduce waste in landfills. The scale for this is at a national level, but also includes the individual level. This paper addresses the problem at a national level because it focuses on how overconsumption affects national emissions and landfill waste. On the individual level, this research will focus on how the individual's mental health may suffer or improve depending on the level of consumption that are found. The objective of this research paper is to show how overconsumption of material goods has caused such a negative impact on the environment and on individuals' well-being. Individuals who consume fewer materials will lead more fulfilled lives than those who consume more material products. Greenhouse gas emissions will improve when overconsumption of material products decreases, and reducing the production of materials will bring the planetary boundaries back down to sustainable levels due to natural resources being used less. Research approach. The research that was used to develop this paper was based on how overconsumption influences greenhouse gas emissions, individual happiness, and the planet's resources. This was done by reviewing science-based journals and finding data from trustworthy primary and secondary sources. The research approach that was used for this paper is a qualitative approach on how overconsumption has become such a detrimental problem to the environment by using data from research papers, journals, and articles to prove or disprove the objective and hypothesis stated in this paper. The research design that was used in this paper is a case study qualitative design. This will be done by analyzing the data found in various research articles and journals that surround the topic of overconsumption through multiple perspectives in detail. Significant amounts of data will be collected for this paper for analysis and then determine how overconsumption may be attributed to higher greenhouse gas emissions. The method used for qualifying the impact of this research paper was a thematic analysis approach. This type of analysis allowed the collected data that is analyzed for this paper to be researched in depth with an end goal of finding related themes for each of these topics that are all underneath the umbrella of overconsumption. Because the thematic analysis was used for this paper, the approach that was taken was a deductive approach due to having previous knowledge about the subject of overconsumption and the effects it has on the environment. The research and data that have been collected are mostly from nationwide standpoints. There is some local information that has been gathered as well. End users and expert consultation. The end users who would benefit the most from this sustainability analysis would be state and local governments to manage landfills better and implement a collection and treatment of landfill gases. They would be able to turn the gas that is emitted from landfills into usable resource renewable energies. This would benefit the municipality that have the most landfills in the area due to the smell and air quality improving, creating jobs and revenue, and preventing greenhouse gases from entering the atmosphere. Other end users would be individuals and communities who see that overconsuming material products does not improve happiness and causes long-term negative reactions. This can lead them to reduce their personal spending habits and would have a positive effect on the environment. The last end user for this sustainability analysis would be policymakers. Creating ways for efficient consumption, such as introducing cleaner product production, should be used instead of using taxes and regulations to offset the amount of private material consumption that is purchased. The professional input that was received to guide the research paper was from a sustainability and resiliency manager from the city of Coral Gables. This person was the expert who was consulted for this project. Results of overconsumption. The results of this research paper were found by analyzing various data collected from literatures that performed in-depth research. Analyzing various data collected from literatures that performed in-depth research that had specific samples and quantitative data, statistics for each topic that is reviewed in this paper. For happiness levels, after reviewing the material found in the literature provided statistical information about private material consumption and if it leads to fulfilling lives, it has been concluded that overconsumption does not provide lasting happiness in individual lives. This positive feeling one notices when purchasing a new product are the rising levels of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine leads individuals to believe that buying material goods is what can make them experience joy. The truth of the matter is dopamine levels decrease once the production has been received. The anticipation of receiving an item or the anticipation surrounding the planning of placing a purchase is where dopamine levels peak. Once the item has been purchased, dopamine levels decrease almost instantly. This answers the question that consuming material products in excess will not give individuals lasting happiness. Placing a product under the category of a reward for doing a stressful activity, or seeing how others have purchased the same product can bring on feelings of anticipation satisfaction when thinking about what the product can be used for. This will cause the knowledge of long-term consequences to be clouded by the feeling of joy the product will bring. If the individual purchased the product, those strong feelings would decrease once the product has arrived or when leaving the store. A cycle begins because of this, and individuals feel the need to consume material products once again. For greenhouse gas emissions, the results of analyzing different resources surrounding landfills and greenhouse gas emissions are that if overconsumption in the United States is brought down by a significant amount, the landfills will release less carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. There will be less wasted land due to dedicating land to creating more landfills. Using landfills as a source of renewable energy resources would allow consumption to still take place, but the methane and carbon dioxide will be converted into power. This will improve the way waste is treated and will be clearing a wider path towards removing the need for fossil fuels. Planetary boundaries and overconsumption. Overconsumption is one of the driving forces of the planetary boundaries to be exceeded. It has been shown in numerous examples that if society continues consuming at the rate that it is today, the planet will exceed its boundaries in only a matter of 2 decades. Overconsumption is a practice that continues the upward trend of unsustainable levels of the planetary boundaries. Conclusion. Overconsumption of material goods is an incredibly difficult habit to break, but allowing ourselves to continue consuming at levels we do as a society will propel the planet out of its stable boundaries. Once this happens, we will enter the Anthropocene and maybe find ourselves learning how to adapt to extreme weather events, such as rising sea levels and higher temperatures. This can be avoided significantly by reducing the number of material products we consume as a society. Sustainable consumption should be one of the main priorities we have. Learning how to read labels and shop secondhand, reducing the amount that we consume, reaching out to our policymakers to make sustainable production a part of the way we live, and adopting alternative lifestyles such as minimalism and zero waste to reduce our overall consumption. Landfills should be reinvented to serve as a place to dispose of waste, but also to create renewable energy for states that have many landfills on their land. Overall, everyone should try to consume less. Every small change that is made will better the environment that we live in and have the possibility to be healthy for future generations. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.